and welcome to How to Sound Smart. I'm your host, Stella Green, and I'm going to teach you a magic trick I call comparison. If used correctly, this trick can see you labeled funny, pretty, tall, or smart by comparison. Also, unlike real magic tricks, this one can actually improve the social standing of the performer. Heck, if you learn how to properly utilize the art of the favorable comparison, even if you do normal magic tricks, you can wind up looking like a good time by comparison. Just find someone worse than you at whatever you'd like to look good at and stick to them like they're a glue trap. But oh no, here you are at a party full of hilarious, gorgeous, vertically privileged geniuses. What do? You take them all down. Which leads us to today's lesson, contradict others. Don't waste time trying to build up your reputation as an intelligent person through honest effort. Just make sure no one else has the opportunity to build up theirs. For our topic today, we'll be covering the go-to example of oxymoron, America's favorite paradox, the gold standard of contradictions, ladies and gentlemen, the living dead. That's right, zombies. Today, we're going to talk about Haitian zombification. Our story, like many great ones before it, begins with a man from central Haiti paying a visit to his sister. This man had recently made a name for himself by doing something that you and I are both doing right now, being alive. This becomes an accomplishment when we consider that he had just spent the last 20 or so years being the opposite of that. His name was Clervius Narcisse, and one day in 1980 he stopped by home looking to catch up with his sister. She was surprised to say the least, but this man looked like him, walked like him, talked like him, and as a bonus had a rugged new scar on his cheek that he got from a loose nail, as it was hammered into his coffin. The zombie legend actually originates from Haitian voodoo folklore. Voodooists believe that a person can either die naturally or unnaturally, the former being a death from old age or disease, and the latter, murder. Bad news for our brand new corpse, his check-in time isn't for another few decades, and there's going to be a wait. Should an individual happen to die unnaturally, they'll find their souls unable to detach from their grave sites until the gods can finish straightening up their eternal resting place. If, during this period of afterlife buffering, a sorcerer, called a Bokor, should happen by, they can take the person's soul, currently just sort of hanging around by a grave, and use it to control their bodies. They will often use them for assistance or sell them into slave labor, because the zombie workers' rights movement is still a long time coming. Anyone familiar with the idea of conflicting interest sees the problem here. In this mystic version of vertical integration, Bokors are unfortunately incentivized to manufacture their own unnatural deaths. And it seems like Clervius falls under this category. On April 30th, 1962, Clervius went to the hospital, running both the gambit of near-death symptoms and a fever. Just days after checking in, he died. Then it was 24 hours in the hospital's freezers, which luckily failed to freeze him to real death. How do we know all this, you ask? Because Clervius was conscious the whole entire time, which thoroughly sucks. Shortly after the deep freeze, our intrepid corpse was buried. Clervius said that throughout the whole affair, he had the sensation of floating over himself like a disembodied spirit. Now imagine the shock of that disembodied spirit when he got an aerial eyeful of a sorcerer digging him up. After Clervius's preposterous preposthumous unearthing, he was raised and taken to a rebirth ceremony. Once his backwards baptism was completed, Clervius went to a sugar plantation in northern Haiti. Here he and his zombie co-workers toiled until their master died and they were able to escape. Now, I don't want to assume anything, because you know what that makes out of you and me, but what the heck. I'll go ahead and assume that you want to know what goes into creating a zombie. That was the question anthropologist slash ethnobotanist slash real-life adventure hero Wade Davis set out to answer in 1982. A student at the time, Davis heard about Clervius' case, and interest peaked as high as it could go. He headed on down to Haiti to do his thing. After arriving in Haiti, he quickly made contact with a man named Marcel Pierre. Pierre was a voodoo sorcerer who moonlighted as the owner of a charming little bordello down in St. Mark. Davis said, being not at all sketchy, that he would pay for help if there were no questions. Pierre, a pimp-slash-sorcerer, had no problem with sketchiness and was game. After that, Davis and Pierre passed a day Sunday shopping for zombie powder fixins. Davis theorized that this powder was a poison a la Romeo and Juliet that could simulate death, but also made with a knock-your-socks-off hallucinogenic punch that would have left the star-crossed lovers seeing same. Among the ingredients collected, there were human bones, freshly ground by Pierre in his mortar and pestle, but there wasn't an active ingredient. Pierre was holding out. Next try, Davis manages to persuade Pierre to give him the real recipe, and this time he believes it. All zombie powders differ a bit, but Pierre's own special blend includes sea worms, lizards, tarantulas, a New World toad, human bones, and pufferfish venom. Our finished product, all polished and packaged, looks like black dirt as applied topically. Side effects may include nausea, a spreading pins and needle sensation, lower extremities, skin lesions, and entrance into an unholy state of living death. The poison isn't actually fatal, but within 6 hours it lowers the victim's metabolism so much they appear dead. Our active ingredient is tetrodotoxin, which comes from pufferfish venom. Anyone who's ever gone out for sushi and had one fugu too many has probably experienced symptoms identical to those of victims of zombification. Once you've primed and powdered your zombie to be, it's time to add the mind-melting drugs. Zombies have fed a plant called a zombie's cucumber, which is a terrifying hallucinogen so powerful it'll have them seeing Lucy in the sky with demons. So there you have it. Although the living dead don't exist per se, zombies technically do, and they're made by grave-desecrating, drug-peddling, slave-dealing necromancers. This is a theme that has cropped up time and again here on How to Sound Smart. Stay away from sorcerers. That concludes this episode of How to Sound Smart. Remember today's lesson: contradict others, because you'll never look better than by comparison. See you next time.